everyone, welcome to another Random Talk Sunday, and today I thought it would be interesting to address the topic of aliens, in particular extraterrestrial life, um, UFOs. Now, I'm not saying I am a UFO believer or a UFO denier, or I believe or disbelieve in extraterrestrial life. Apparently there supposedly is on Mars, but in sort of a microscopic form. Excuse me. But as far as to whether or not I side with one particular um, uh, end of the spectrum, I like to consider myself as someone who might believe in the possibility that extraterrestrial life exists, in particular aliens and UFOs. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I am a true believer or a true uh, denier or a naysayer when it comes to these issues. I like to consider myself, if I were to ever see actually one, I would believe it. Um, but I've never had that experience within my life, so I can't really say that I have. Um, so it's a very difficult issue, at least to discuss. But the interesting thing about aliens, in particular extraterrestrial life, when you look at the amount of uh, aliens that exist throughout science fiction, you'll notice that um, it is not only varied, but it is in a majority of the genre, at least. And I think that has largely to do with the fact that I think aliens have captured a fascination within us as far as entertainment is concerned. And they've also created a lot of conspiracy theories and a lot of supposed secrets um, that supposedly the government is hiding from us, according to some. Now, as to whether or not I believe or disbelieve in any of the stuff that's being said, again, I don't like to side myself with one particular end unless I've actually experienced it for myself. Like if somebody were to come up to me and show me a thing that does not look like it's from this world and I see it with my own eyes, then yeah, maybe I will believe. But again, it's not that I'm so skeptical of the idea, because again, I think when you look at the amount of information that we don't have as in regards to how our universe really operates and what exists within our universe, and again, there's probably even multiple universes according to some scientists. So again, there is a lot of things that we do not know, and I think that's something important to note. But really, um, aliens have gathered a very uh, interesting, or at least become at least part of our, uh, at least become not only a part of fiction, but have also presented theories as to um, whether or not they exist within reality. Like if you watch History Channel, they go in depth onto various different scenarios into which supposedly aliens were able to somehow help us build various forms of technology and whatnot. And it's really hard to really understand if ultimately any of that holds any grounds as to whether or not that could be even possible. But again, there is a lot of different speculations that are out there, and obviously a lot of conspiracy theories, and sometimes those involve, in particular, the United States government. So again, there is a lot of controversy and again speculation about what's really supposedly out there, and it's also presented to us in a way through entertainment that could either be sort of positive or negative. Like, for example, there are some aliens that are shown that are supposedly hostile to humans, And then there are other times where aliens are showcased that are actually friendly to humans. And sometimes you'll notice too that some people believe, at least, that there are different species of aliens that exist. Uh, but really, when it comes to this whole topic, I mean, I think there is really a lot that can probably be explored. And I mean, I think there is a lot of, at least science that's being put out there to try to ultimately explore this area. But at the end of the day, I think it's always important to just remain on the uh, open end of things, and it's not necessarily to say whether or not aliens exist or not exist, but just to be understanding of that there's possibilities. Like, it's not a question of whether or not they do or do exist, but is there maybe a possibility that they could. And I think I would say that there is, considering the fact that, again, we don't really know a whole lot about what's out there, because our universe is so vast and we are so small on this little planet Earth. So, again, there is a lot that can um, be speculated from that. And again, I would say that although I don't want to side myself on one particular end, I still present myself open to possibilities. But again, it's it's almost like, at least for the most part, I think aliens have become sort of part of a, a cultural phenomenon as well. Like, especially when you look at the past, at least 20th century, um, there also were presented. I think even obviously probably even earlier than that. And again, there's some people who speculate that, oh, that certain paintings or uh, certain forms of technology could possibly be construed by aliens. And really, there's a lot of out of, I would say, kind of whack ideas in that they just present like, oh yeah, it must be aliens, as opposed to really, presenting really any clear, concrete evidence that it is supposedly some form of extraterrestrial life. So I think there is a lot of speculation. There is a lot of, I think, criticism that could be had as to a lot of people's findings and understandings of what they would consider somewhat extraterrestrial. But again, I think, the universe is very big and we don't know a whole lot about it, and we don't even know a whole lot about our oceans either. So it's really difficult to really say whether or not a there is a clearness to the evidence. Some people will say that, oh, these documents say so and so about extraterrestrial life, and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I think, um, you know, out of all the years, I find it very odd that somehow, aliens would come at a certain time and then not come at others, or at least that's supposedly what a lot of theorists say. Again, I think there's a lot of stuff that's not really explored about it. And I honestly think that there should be a more open-mindedness to exploring it, because I mean, again, we don't know a whole lot about the way in which our universe sort of operates. I mean, there's a lot of complicated things that even the most genius of minds probably don't necessarily, or at least can figure out. Like, there's just some things that are just beyond human comprehension, and I think that's okay. I mean, I think, at the end of the day, it's just important that we remain curious, at least. I think that's the most important thing, because I think if we shut aliens out completely from the equation, we're kind of, um, I think, almost denying the curiosity as to whether or not there is a certain possibility out there that they could exist. So again, I think it's important to keep an open mind about this. And again, I'm not necessarily saying that I believe or disbelieve that these creatures supposedly exist. What I am saying, though, is I think that when you look at the various forms in which they at least present themselves within fiction, as well as how they supposedly are sort of represented within maybe reality, I think you will find that that there is a lot of sightings, a lot of strange things that surround this topic, and I think it's just important that we explore it. And if they exist, well, then we figure out a way to deal with it. If they don't exist, then okay, they don't. So I think that's really the most important thing to really at least get behind, at least from my point of view when it comes to this whole issue. But I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say about this. If you find yourself more on the side of believing that there's huge possibility that these things could potentially exist, or if you think that it's just a bunch of hoaxes and uh, a bunch of um, a bunch of just out of whack speculations, I can understand that as well. So again, I understand both sides of the equation here, and I think again, I just think we need to explore it more and be more open about the information that we find, because I think what happens with at least a lot of these UFO things is that they oftentimes are surrounded in secrecy. And I think if we don't keep things open to letting people know about certain information, it it really puts, I think, a damper on us really understanding how we deal with it. Uh, so I think that's just my honest opinion on it, but I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, comments, and or concerns. Also, yes, this video is actually being uploaded on time. I was able to have some time to get caught up, so I should be caught up for this coming week. But until next time, everybody.